Hey guys, this is Doug with Cold War Collectors, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Kampfgruppen der Arbeiterklasse. Now, the Kampfgruppen der Arbeiterklasse, I'm just going to call them the KDA from now on, just to save time. They were formed on September 29th, 1953, in response to the East German revolts in '53. And they were dismantled unofficially on December 14th, 1989, but they were truly dismantled in 1990 by decree of the People's Council. Now, they first appeared on the May Day Parade of 1954. It was an unofficial paramilitary. It was an official paramilitary organization after 1956, and their most notable act was 1961 when they started to build the Berlin Wall. Now, the thing is that the KDA was a paramilitary organization comprised mainly of people of the age of 25 to 60, and usually 18 to 24 if you were ineligible for NVA service. Say that you had like asthma or something like that, and you weren't able to necessarily have all the requirements able, or if you were just not that fit. But sometimes some people just volunteered to do KDA instead of NVA for some odd reason. Now, the other thing is that the KDA, the maximum strength of the KDA is still open to debate. The MSF, which was the Stasi, they said that they had a maximum amount of people, 500,000 in 1987, but Western and NATO guesses that there were about 210,000 of them in total, and 187,000 in active service, and the rest were just reservists. The KDA had a school for officers in Schwitzerwitz, which they built in 1957, and I'm not certain when they closed it. I think they might have closed it in '89. Now, the other thing that's important about the KDA uniforms, they had multiple different uniforms. This is the gray uniform. They had these from about 1958, I'm guessing is the earliest, and 1960. Now, this is a gen-free shirt, which I'm not certain about when this one was made because it has stamps. Basically, I'm going to bring the camera close so you can see it. It has stamp, I can't tell what that says, it seems like 10//97 and K50 G something like G52 right there. And 10, but this doesn't have the year stamp on it, unlike the hat. The hat has a year stamp. Now, the thing that's important about this, I'm basically going to have this like, it's going to look not that good, but I'm just doing this so you can see it. This is a Gen 3. The reason how you can tell, it has sleeve pockets with this patch. This is a stitched-on KDA patch. Some of the ones had it so that the entire patch was put on in the Gen 1 uniform, so they had it so that they just created the patch on the Gen 1 uniform. Now, this has shoulder pockets, which was first started with the Gen 2. However, these have the internal pockets, not the pebble pockets like the Type 2. Now, the Type 1 never had sleeve pockets, and I believe it had kind of like slit pockets, kind of like the Gen 1 and Gen 2 NVA uniforms. Now, my shirt's a Gen 3, but the pants are a Gen 2. Basically what happens, you have two pockets here, and then up here, it has these like creases that are kind of stitched in. You're probably not going to be able to see them though. It also has these buttons for a collar liner that you can put in, and it also has a coat hanger, which is a pretty nice feature. It's marked K50 right up there, and it has the illegible markings in it, which are also up here as well, but you can barely see them as well. Sorry about that. That's a Gen 3 uniform. Gen 1s had no sleeve pockets, and they had slit pockets. Gen 2 had sleeve pockets, but with the exposed pebble buttons, the same as the NVA uniforms. Now, this is a hat. Now, the thing that's important about the hat is it went through different production. It was basically the same in construction, however, it went from having a stitched roundel with the KDA badge that had black, yellow, and red, the symbols of the DDR. Then it went to this, but this was stitched on. Then it went to this as a badge, which was the latest pattern. Now, the thing that's important, these are MDI marked, which is Minister del Interior. Free meaning, I believe, the fall, and U meaning 1976 is also size 57. It has this brown leather. Now, that's basically all about that. Now, the Gen 2 pants I have. Now, the Gen 2 pants are interesting because they're just really strange, honestly. They have these two buttons for the pockets, which are the same as the NVA plastic ones. And on your, like, this basically is how they would go on you. Okay, so this is the front. You have a pocket on this side, which has a button that would hold that in. Then you also have the other pant pocket. Now, the thing that I kind of find strange is that you don't have a left, like a waist pocket. You have the zipper, which also has this little thing that goes over the button right there, but I'm not doing that right now. It also is elastic. Oh, sorry about that. It's elastic right there, and it has free D-rings for suspenders. This one is marked M88, but you're barely able to see it though. Now, the other thing that's important about the KDA, supposedly they saw service in the Congo in 1980, according to Radio Brazzaville, but that's really all the reports of them being overseas. They also had an oath, which they were to recite on the national standard of the GDR, as well as the KDA flag. And it was, I am ready as a fighter of the working class to fulfill the directives of the party to defend the German Democratic Republic and its socialist achievements at any time, with my weapon in my hand to lay down my life for them. This I swear. That was basically in English. And in German it is, Ich bin bereit, das Kampfgruppen der Arbeiterklasse, die Richtlinien der Parteien zu erfüllen, die Deutsche Demokratische Republik und ihre sozialistischen Errungenschaften zu gerüstet seit min Waffen in das Händen der Zuverkämpfen und der zivilen Leben. That's what it is. Now that's basically all about that. The thing that's important about the KDA uniforms, even before the gray uniforms, they had these blue and black jumpsuits and these blue and black two-piece shirts. But basically, like the ones that had, so it was the shirt and the pants. They had, I'm not sure what the pants were like, but I know the shirt kind of had like a pocket, kind of like a somewhat like an office uniform in a way, but not that fancy. It was a very basic uniform. Now, the thing that's also important, the KDA were usually issued with really old gear that the NVA didn't use anymore, like Rashini Patroni Degatovas, which were the RPDs, PPSHs, SKSs, M44s, Moisen, they got M9130s. They were also given MPIKs, which were AK-47s, MPIKMs, which were AKMs. Then later on they were given MPIKM-72s and MPIKMS-72s, which were the East German AKM variant that had the plastic furniture and the side-folding stock. Now, the thing that's important about this is that their web gear was basically the same as the NVA. However, I've seen what I believe was the proposed Gen 3 gear, kind of like the UTV gear. It kind of is like for example, I'm just gonna get this piece of paper. So there was an RPK pouch a while ago I saw on a German eBay, and it basically was like this, except it was exactly square, and it would go on the belt, and it looked somewhat like this greenish color. It was somewhat like the same color as this, but this isn't really green, it's kind of a gray. It was somewhat like, just angling the light so you can see it. It was somewhat like this type of coloration to it, because it was faded. But the thing that's weird, I think they said they might have made them for export, or they might have made them for KDA gear if things did heat up. But I've also seen pictures with KDA using stitched-on mag pouches and other gear. But I've heard rumors that they had assault packs that were just gray, but I don't know. There's some info on it, but some of the gear is really, really rare, especially stuff like the Gen 1 gear, which is what you see the guys wearing when they put up the Berlin Wall, and they're like all next to the IFA G5, which were these truck, which was a Soviet truck that they modified into an armored car, and they put water cannons on it, and occasionally they put DP machine guns on them sometimes, but really varies. Another thing about the KDA, they didn't have any ranks, but they had positions. It's really strange. I'm just going to read them off to you right now. So some of them were Truppführer, Grenzführer, Schutzführer, or Werferführer, which was squad leader, group leader, cannon leader, or projector leader. Basically, like all the groups of it, they had artillery, but most of the time they had B-10 anti-tank guns. They had Zugführer, which was platoon leader, Simonat des Kommandanten des 7. Zuges, which was deputy leader of the Independent Legion, Kommando des 7. Zuges, leader of the Independent Platoon. And one of the lowest ones you can get was, as in ranks, even though they didn't have official ranks, these were like positions, was Indisleigesierde, which was duty officer. Now, they also had a lot of badges, and usually what they were, it was, I'm just going to pull one up on the computer. Alright. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this one up for a bit. So there were 3 class badges mainly. They were kind of like sports badges and shooting badges. I'm just gonna pull this up over here for a little bit. Sorry about the mess. So basically, you'd get these 3 badges. The one that's bronze is 3rd class for shooting skills. 2nd class, 1st class. That's also kind of like National Volksarmy. That's completely unrelated though. So there also were the early gen ones, which looked like this, but they're almost rare as hell to find. You can also see this one is 1617, meaning this was kind of like a competition they had on 16th of 17th September 1961. Now, KDA badges also really vary most of the time. Like, for example, I'm just going to show you another picture. This is a Gen 1 uniform because he doesn't have the shoulder patches. And this is also another thing that's interesting about this. This is an early uniform because his suspenders have the independent loop right there. Plus, they only have these pockets, which were lower on. They look somewhat like the pockets on this guy's uniform. Now, you can barely see, but he does not have the badge. He has it, so he has like insignia stitched on. Now, there's also been a few other pictures I found a while back of the NVA training with the KDA, as well as some Soviet officers. I'm not certain about this one, but I believe these guys might be NVA, but some people say that this is like a somewhat famous picture of them, like wearing the Blumenstein, which was not the official name. They called it that because it was somewhat, it looked like flower camo, which was a nickname they made of it. But the original name was Flachtenmuster. And that's basically all about that. So, yeah, that's all.